I would go to a scholar, and I would ask the scholar for clarification. That's a good segue into this ties together, and then you can respond. On the last one. No, it's because this is what we were just talking about. So misconception number 11 is Islam forces people to become Muslim, right? And the verse that is said to refute that is Surah 2, verse 256. Let there be no compulsion in religion. Truth has been made clear from error. So this tract is saying that shows that you can't force people to become Muslim. Okay. Okay. So suppose I read that and I'm confused. I'm confused because this verse says, you kill these people. This says fight those people, fight those who do not believe in Allah.
That's not about forcing people to become Muslim.
Well,
why are you confused?
No. Look,
all right, go ahead.
When Muhammad says, I've been commanded to fight people until they say there's no God but Allah and Muhammad is his messenger, that sounds like I'm going to fight you until you believe what I'm telling you to believe.
Sounds like that.
That's not, if you want to say that's not forcing, that's me saying, I'm going to stab you until you agree with me, but you're free to believe whatever you want, right?
Because you don't understand
I haven't gotten to the point. So, the point is, suppose I read something like that. Hey, this sounds like I'm supposed to go out and fight people until they agree with me. This verse says no compulsion in religion.
Good.
You're saying go to a scholar.
That's what the Quran is telling you.
Yeah, I'm supposed to go to a scholar.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. So I go to a scholar. So
this is not a scholar. You know that, right?
Ibn Kathir.
This is a book. So let me explain to you.
Yes.
No. Look, I listened to you. Now, can you let me?
He's quoting scholars.
Let me explain this to you, Dave.
Let me just finish point.
Go ahead. Let you finish.
So it's commentary on Surah 2, verse 256. Okay. So suppose I want to know what past scholars have said, so I know who I should listen to, right? So he talks about the historical background in Surah 256. No compulsion in religion, right? And so we go down, and it says at the conclusion of all that.
You're skipping through the whole explanation, though, right?
Yeah, he gives the explanation, right? Okay. So he gives the historical background, but then he says, but this verse is abrogated by the verse of fighting. You shall be called to fight against the people, given to great warfare. Then you shall fight them, or they shall surrender. Allah also says, O Prophet, strive hard against the disbelievers and the hypocrites, and be harsh against them. And he says, O you who believe, fight those of the disbelievers who are close to you, and let them find harshness in you, and know that Allah is with those who are the pious. Therefore, all people of the world should be called to Islam. If any one of them refuses to do so, or refuses to pay the jizya, they should be fought till they are killed. Right? So that's what I see when I look at Ibn Kathir. Okay. And then I just have one more. I just want to.
You're making like 10 points.
I'm trying to get the whole point.
This is all one. This is all not going to work when you don't listen. Bro.
This is all one point. I'm making the exact same point. So suppose I don't like Ibn Kathir.
Yeah.
And I want to go.
It's not about who you like. This is where you're misunderstanding.
I get it. So I ask Muslims, hey, who are your scholars? You said, hey, you should read Tabari, you should read this. Yeah. So I go to Qurtubi. Okay. And Qurtubi, right after quoting this verse, says, scholars disagree and hold various positions regarding the legal status and meaning of this ayah.
Okay, there you go.
It is said that it is abrogated because the Prophet, may Allah bless him and grant him peace, forced the Arabs to adopt the deen of Islam and fought them and was only pleased with Islam for them. Sulaiman ibn Musa took this view, saying, it is abrogated by, O Prophet, do jihad against the unbelievers and the hypocrites. That is related from Ibn Masud and many commentators. And then it goes on, we don't need to read much more, but then the next interpretation he gives, it is not abrogated and was sent down about the people of the book in particular, and means that they are not forced to adopt Islam when they pay jizya. Those who are forced are the idolaters, which you said isn't the case earlier. So here's.
Let me explain it.
Yeah. I'm done. I'm done. I just want to summarize. Yeah. I may disagree with what you're about to say, but I'm saying. So we've got these verses that are about fighting and killing.
Sure.
And we've got verses that are like no compulsion in religion, or to you be your religion, to me be my religion, right? We've got verses like that. And if I'm confused, I'm supposed to go to a scholar.
Yes.
But these show that scholars have disagreed over the centuries. They have, right? So they have. So some are saying, hey, the actual conclusion, once you read the entire case, the conclusion, the takeaway message is you're supposed to fight people until they believe in Allah. And the other things that said something else, no compulsion in religion, Those have been abrogated. And so the point is, you're handing out a material which someone would read and they would say,
I'm just letting you finish now.
yeah, you would say, oh, Islam forces people to become Muslim. That's a misconception because the Quran says, let there be no compulsion in religion. And what I'm saying is, scholars down through history have held interpretations that certainly don't line up with that interpretation. So you're acting like, hey, if you're a scholar, you're going to come to the conclusion that you're coming with. No. You're saying you're giving a representation of scholars. If you're a scholar, you're going to come to the same conclusions, and you're going to say this is actually peaceful. This is actually what this verse means. And when we look, we see they come to wildly different conclusions. And some of the conclusions that they're drawing are things like, therefore, all people of the world should be invited to Islam. If they don't come, they should be fought till they are killed if they don't pay the jizya. The point here is, this business of when Allah is not clear in His Quran about commands to kill and slaughter people, subjugate people, and so on, when He's not clear, yes, if you're not clear, that allows someone to step in and say, of course, this is actually peaceful and you need to interpret it peacefully. But it's also wide open for someone to say, actually, this is abrogated and we're commanded to do this. The point is, it looks like a giant mess. And the real issue that I'm concerned with here is that you're handing this out and acting like this is a straightforward condemnation of forcing people to become Muslim. This is the verse that refutes it. This is the verse that refutes that. And I open up your commentaries, and the first thing I see is things that contradict what you're saying. And you're saying go to a scholar.
Are you done? I'm listening to you. Are you done?
Go ahead.
Are you done?
It depends on what you say. As long as you agree with me, then I'm done.
Well, then you're not done, because I'm not going to agree with you. But are you done saying what you had to say so you can listen now?
I made my point.
Okay, thank you. That means you're done with what you're saying and you're going to listen now, right?
I'm going to listen. You're listening.
Okay, excellent. First thing is, when I told you that you need to go to a scholar, you misunderstood that to go to pick up Tafsir ibn Kathir. He is somebody who passed away hundreds and hundreds of years ago. You are just picking up an English translation of a summary and thinking you understand what you really don't. Because Ibn Kathir gives you different opinions, like Qurtubi that you quoted yourself, gives you opinions to understand that there were differences of opinions about whether this was nasikh or mansukh. When I say you need to go to a scholar, I mean somebody who's alive. Okay? Somebody you can go to and say, hey, I want to understand this ayah, because these are the few books. You have Tabari, you have Ibn Kathir, you have the Makhshari, you have Qurtubi, you have all these classic tafasir, you have Suyuti. We look at those, then we look at evidences. Okay? When the Prophet ﷺ took over Mecca, you know Fath al-Mecca, right? You know Fath al-Mecca? No? The victory when Mecca was killed, right? Without fighting, right? Did he go and say everybody who's a polytheist, forget about Ahlul Kitab, will be put to death? No, he didn't. He did not. So in Fath al-Mecca, did he do that or not?
No, not there. Okay. No, it was certain people. Certain people.
Those that committed war crimes.
Even
those that committed war crimes. You can listen to my lecture and I go through each one that was killed and why he was killed and what war crimes.
there were singing girls who made fun of him. That was a war crime?
Are you talking about Fath al-Mecca or are you talking about other incidents?
I'm saying when he took Mecca, he said there are certain people, even if they're clinging to the curtains of the Kaaba, you got to kill them. Some of those were just singing girls, slave girls who were singing.
Those were people, and I've gone through each one of them. That wasn't just the fact that we're singing, it's the crimes they had committed, mutilation of bodies, including by women, of prisoners of war, just because you're ignorant.
The girls did it?
Some of the girls did do it, yes.
The girls who were condemned?
Some of them.
Why does it just say who wrote satirical songs about it?
Because you don't know the depth of the knowledge.
It would kind of seem important to listen. That's like me saying Charles Manson needs to go to jail because he jaywalked, right?
Right. But that's because you don't know who Charles Manson was and what he did. So if you want to know why he went to jail, read his court papers. So if you want to know about the hadith about who did what and why, there are hadith on it. Just because you didn't read them doesn't mean they don't exist. Okay? So what you should do is go to a person of knowledge and say, hey, why was this person put to death and why was this person not? Why was Abu Sufyan and Hinda and those not? Why were others who stayed polytheists in Mecca were not put to death, right? So when you look at those contexts and how the Prophet ﷺ did it, then we look at the different scholarly opinions, we weigh them with evidences, and we come to the right conclusion. We cannot put that kind of a debate in a flyer, neither do you, right? Let me give you an example. This is from the Bible, right? You have here a verse in Exodus 21, 20, 21. Exodus 21, 20, 21. And if a man beats his male or female servant with a rod so that he dies under his hand, he shall surely be punished. Notwithstanding, if he remains alive a day or two, he shall not be punished, for he is his property. Now, if I don't look at context, if I don't ask David Wood or anybody, and I just take this and say the Bible is clear, I'm going to get a slave, I'm going to beat him to death, and if he stays alive, I can't be arrested. And now you are going to come and say, no, 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 that's not the context, this is the old, this is this. But then you're contradicting your own point. You're telling me to go get context for ayat from the Bible when you won't do the same for the Quran. This is your double standard. This is your problem. This is where you are not being fair in this conversation, because you know this Bible is filled with verses about killing homosexuals, about things that people have used to carry out hate crimes, to carry out genocides, and you know that's true. And you will say, oh, we condemn that, because what they should have done is understood the context of those verses from the Bible. And when we say the same thing about the Quran, then you don't accept it. Thank you for your time. No, you said you were done.
No, I said if I agreed with you.
Thank you. Just my time to go.
Hey, let me, while you're wrapping up,
Have a good day.
Hey, Sheikh.
Come back another day.
Do you want me to just say it to the camera here?
If you want to, it's up to you. I gave you time to finish. I finished.
How about we
my
do,
time
how about
is
we
to
do
go.
quick, short one as we're
you
walking?
Come back.
As we're walking.
You come back. And no, I'm not going to do this short back and forth. Come back.
No.
Sit and discuss.
I just mean.
Thank you.
Final thought. No. All right.
I know that. Like,
So the point that he wouldn't listen to was there is no Christian on the planet who would say, if you read something in the Bible and you're concerned about interpreting it correctly, there is no Christian on the planet who would say, don't read what scholars have said. Yeah. Show me one Christian on the planet who would say, okay, good.
No. Come back another day. You know the
Oh, okay. Well,
I'll
continue talking. You can listen to me if you want. If you want to jump in, you can jump in.
Your audience knows that you've been
You're breaking
informed,
down,
right?
so you can hear what I'm saying. So, I have never heard of a Christian who would say, if you want to understand this verse, don't read about it. Don't go to the classical Bible scholars. Don't look at what Bible scholars have said. You can only go to a person who has this kind of credentials and so on. Never heard anyone say that. So to consider that a parallel, if you're bothered by that verse, the first thing you would do is look up a commentary. You get a study Bible, you get a commentary by like Paul Copan or something like that on things that are regarded as moral problems in the Bible and so on. No one would say you have to spend years researching at the feet of a scholar to understand what's being said there, or to understand it. I can't think of anything in the Bible. Obviously, if you're getting into theology, it helps to do a ton of research and to study. But if it's straightforward commands, the commands that are directed towards us are pretty clear. Love your neighbors yourself. Love your enemies, honor all people. These are pretty straightforward. You get something confusing, you open up a book. The problem, and the only reason I can even imagine for saying don't go to the books, don't go to Ibn Kathir, don't go to Qurtubi, don't go to the earlier scholars that they're quoting. The only reason I can say for saying that is that those scholars are just not going to line up with what Muslims are saying today. Right? If you go through Qurtubi and you read, there's no compulsion in religion, there's no one on that list who thinks it means what Muslims today say that it means. And so you obviously don't want to go there. You want to go to, a modern scholar, preferably in America or something like that, who's going to tell you, no, it means exactly what it says. And so this is really the disagreement. How clear do we need to be on commands to kill and slaughter? If the Quran is so horribly unclear that you have all these commands that convince some of their all-time greatest scholars that this is a command to violently subjugate the entire world, and it's not, it seems like Allah would have to be the absolute worst communicator in history. That's all I can conclude. I just want to say I appreciate that the Sheikh puts himself out there like that. Again, I haven't been studying Islam in a while. That's why I'm trying to get back into it. But My goodness, this is not a solution. The miracle of reinterpretation is just not a solution to the problems there. And if you have all of these tracts that you're handing out, these tracts that you're distributing, and the first thing that happens as soon as you look any of them up in any commentary is it gives the exact opposite interpretation that's being put forward, I'd say you got a problem. I'd say you got a problem.